I want to talk about the laws of arithmetic. They sort of follow on from what we were doing on Saturday, working with algebra. So if we have a look at the first one is called the commutative law. Now, you can think about that like the person waiting at the bus stop and they're waiting to go into shops. Well, a commuter goes both forwards and back. And so that's what this is really saying. And so it's something like 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. Now, that works for addition, obviously. We've got 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. It also works for multiplication, because if I have 4 lots of 2, well, that's the same as 2 lots of 4. That's very helpful to know these sorts of things because, for a start, it saves our memory learning a whole lot of different tables, for example. But now, it's interesting because it works for addition and multiplication. But does it work for subtraction? Let's have a think about it. If I have 6 take away 2, is that the same as 2 take away 6? Well, no, it's not. 6 take away 2 is 4, and if I'm at 2 and I take away 6, I'm actually down at minus 4. So they're not equals. That might be a sign you're not familiar with. The equals sign with a cross through it, that means they're not equal. So it doesn't work for subtraction. What about division? Well, let's think about, let's say 20 divided by 4. If I've got 20 things and I split them up amongst 4 people, they get 5 each. Well, what about if I've got 4 and I divide that by 20? What can you tell me? Have a think. Well, you've only got 4 things, but you've got lots of little people wanting them. A big cake that's got to be split up. Well, they're not going to get the same. So they're not equal either. So the commutative law works for addition and it works for multiplication and nothing else. So that's your commutative law. Let's go to the next. The next one's the associative law. Now, if we think about who we associate with, we can think about connections that we might have. So if I've got something like 4 plus 7 plus 3, that is the same as 4 plus 7 plus 3. Just take a moment to have a look at it. If I do 4 plus 7 on this side, that part there is equal to 11. And now I've got plus 3. Over this side, it's 10 plus 4. Are they the same? Well, they are. Now, we can think about it in terms of a diagram. If I've got 3 blocks over here and I've got 2 blocks here, I can count them in whatever way I like. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or if I've got 3 blocks and another 2, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The arrangement doesn't matter. That's the associative law. It doesn't matter which way I add, but I can use the brackets to make it easier. Now, if you have a look at the one on the right over here, it's much easier for many people to look at 7 plus 3 and think, oh, I know what that is, that's 10. So I can look at that at a glance and say 10 and 4. It's an easier way to go than 4 plus 7 for some people, where we've got to go to 11. Now we can see that it works for addition. Does it work for multiplication? You might like to try it out and have a look. And you also have a think about whether it works for subtraction and division. And have a look and think about that. And let me know what you find out. I'm going to move on to the third one, which is the distributive law. Now, distributive law means that I distribute. Sounds pretty simple, but what does it mean? Imagine if I've got, an item costs $98 and I want 5 of them. 5 to buy. Well, now, I could think about 98 plus 98 plus 98 plus 98 plus 98. Have I got to 5 yet? Or I could think, well, $98 is almost 100. I can think, gee, that'd be easy just to say it's $500 almost, but not quite. How much have I gone too far? Well, I've done 5 lots of 2 too much. So I'm expecting that the total is just going to be 490. So what I did was 5 lots of 100 and then took away 5 lots of $2. So what does that look like in terms of distributive law? I'm really thinking about it in terms of 100 minus 2. So I'm thinking about, I'm going to go back up to here, 5 times 98 is equal to 5 times 100 minus 2. So just changing the colour here, that's 5 times 100, take away 5 lots of 2. So that becomes 5 times 100, take away 5 lots of 2. I've distributed the 5. So now that just becomes 500 minus 10. Oops, I made a mistake there. 5 lots of 2 is 10. So that becomes 490. So it makes some of our calculations easier to use the distributive law. So in summary, we have looked at 3 different laws: the commutative law, the associative law, and the distributive law. And I want you to have a think about which operations they work for and which ones they don't. Use your calculator, explore, play, see what you think.